Summer, a season we can all look forward to. Who can resist the gorgeous weather, the good times spent with friends, the urge to show off and have fun? But sometimes, our desire to have fun can leave us careless and open to
So I was basically floating face down, and I was with 4 other people at the time, but they didn't ever think anything was wrong. They thought I was just playing around, faking it. They ended up pulling me out of the water and throwing me back in twice, thinking I was just playing around. I was floating there with my neck broke, and they were picking me up, throwing me in and out of the water.
Hey, you all right?
Eric!
Close to 50% of the diving injuries we've seen, believe it or not, occur when individuals dive into less than 3 feet of water headfirst.
Excuse us, you guys! I promise you'll be okay. Eric, you'll be okay. You're here. You're gonna be just alright, buddy. Still. Alright.
Hi, how you feeling? I can't move. I just want you to try and lie nice and still for us. I don't want you to try and move at all. What we're going to do here with you in a few seconds is we're going to put a collar on your neck. We're going to. Do you remember what happened today at all? Okay. Do you remember if you're diving or swimming?
Yeah, I was diving.
Okay. Do you remember at any time if you hit your head on the bottom? Okay. Were you unconscious at all?
Even though my spinal cord was never severed, it was just pinched. Just a slight pinch in the spinal cord, and it's permanent paralysis.
Every year, 40,000 Canadians suffer from permanent brain and spinal cord injuries. 40,000! That's the population of a small city. 1/3 of these are young people between the ages of 14 and 25, twice as many males as females.
Some friends and I one day, decided to, take the day off from school, decided to go out and have a few beers at a football game. After that, after the game was over, we decided to hop in a vehicle and drive. If I was able to do it over again, I wouldn't have drove that night. It would have been so easy to find a designated driver in order to drive us, but it was a split-second decision, and therefore I'm paying for it for the rest of my life, I guess. So. Well, we went out and hit a patch of water. The car hydroplaned. I lost control of the vehicle. Went into the ditch and flipped end over end several times. Ended up on its roof by the time the car had stopped. I don't know whether it was just the vertebrae shifted or what, but it severed my spinal cord at the C6-7 level, which left me paralyzed from the chest down. I do have arm function and stuff like that, but I don't have full control over my hands. But I'm very thankful for the function that I do have compared to what I could be like, so.
When there is an injury to the spine, first of all, the bone itself may be damaged. If this injury is complete, then all the functions of the body below the level of the bony injury may be severely affected.
I was very active in sports before the accident. It was really hard after the accident to deal with the fact that I wasn't able to participate in the same sports that I had, prior to the accident.
Unfortunately, stories like Todd's are not uncommon. Bad decisions and careless mistakes often cannot be corrected. Hard work, determination, and a strong will help a person to go on and overcome their adversity. Todd is one of the lucky ones.
This gentleman went in the water head first. His buddies pulled him out. Instantaneous loss of motor movement and function, as well as sensation to all four extremities.
Gonna get you checked over here. Just relax as much as you can.
There's no medical history, no medications, no allergies.
What kind of injury? Hi, what's your name?
Probably about 3/4 of an hour.
Can you squeeze it all? Can you squeeze my fingers, Eric?
I can't move.
Brain and spinal cord injuries are the cause of about 18% of all injury-related deaths across Canada. The number one cause of these injuries are traffic accidents, but there are still many other causes. The brain is our most important part. It communicates with the body, telling it how to work. It allows us to think, and it keeps us all alive. Injuries to the brain and spinal cord can happen anytime, anywhere, doing just about anything. When we're having fun, we're usually not concerned about danger. We rarely see that accident coming around the corner, but it can happen. It can happen at work, at play, in the city, or on the farm, right in your own backyard. And it happens most often to young people, under the age of 20.
Severe brain injuries can cause widespread and varied physical disability, ranging from paralysis of all four limbs, inability to speak, changes in visual ability, loss of smell and taste, difficulty with balance, dizziness, etc. They commonly complain of fatigue. They don't have the energy they used to have, and by and large this is a reflection of the fact that they are working a lot harder all the time, doing the routine stuff and keeping the routine things in order.
Whatever the circumstances, however it happens, it's safe to say that most injuries can be prevented.
You're doing a bunch of stuff to here. Eric, are you having any trouble with your breathing? No. Are you having any pain anywhere? No. No? Okay, we're just going to do a few basic things. Get some blood and an x-ray and stuff. Take some big breaths in and out through your mouth. Good. Are you having any pain?
Maybe you're going to go into your nose. So your health's pretty good?
Yeah.
And we're going to be starting to lie an intravenous on you. That means you have to have a needle in your arm.
Blood for all these 16s. And we should probably get some blood gases on them too.
The doctor's going to be down right away. In fact, here he is right here
Folks.
to
I'm
talk to
Dr.
you.
Young, and I've been working with your son. I just want to let you know a little bit of an update of what's been going on. Okay, he's had a very serious diving injury. He is conscious and he's speaking with us. He's had a spinal injury, okay, and we don't know at this point what kind of outcome he's going to have. We're very concerned at this point. He does not seem to have feeling in his arms and legs, and we have no idea at this point whether it's going to be permanent or whether he will need to be admitted to hospital, and he's going to be looked after by a neurosurgeon. We need to run a bunch of tests right now.
This boy's parents have just been told that their son has sustained an injury to the cervical spine and cervical cord. The damage is permanent. Their son will have no motor or sensory function below the level of injury. In other words, he will never walk, run, or jump again. Traumatic brain injury is the leading cause of death among young people. People no different from you or me. If they survive, they often suffer permanent disability that affects the way they talk, the way they move, the way they think, and the way they behave. A group of friends head out into the country for a ride on the snowmobiles. Everyone is there to have fun. There are no worries, no concerns. They do this all the time, and this day is no different from any other. No different except for one poor decision: alcohol. When one of the riders stops up ahead of the group, impaired judgment prevents one of his friends approaching from behind from seeing him. They collide. The result is one tragic death and one completely altered life.
Like, he had a new wife, just got married, and well, if I could go back and trade places, I'd do it. But I couldn't. I can't help what happened, and now, like, there's no use going back and saying what should have been.
And the big area that really impacts on a person's ability to return to the community after brain injury is the effect that the injury has on their intellectual function, emotional control, behavior in general.
A lot of them still end up with fairly severe problem concentrating, severe problem with changes in personality and may not get along well with people they used to get along with and so on. I personally find that in a lot of instances, family members are the first ones to pick up that there is something a little bit different about this individual here.
It all comes down to one thing: making the right choice at the right time to make sure an accident isn't waiting to happen. That goes for adults too, especially adults on the job. Work-related accidents account for a large percentage of head and spinal cord injuries. In rural areas, it's not surprising that most of these accidents happen on the farm.
It was a May morning in spring. We were probably feeding the last bales that we would have to feed that spring, and was going through a pen where it was quite muddy, and as he drove through a low spot, the tractor got hung up. He tripped a lever to bring the bucket up a bit so that the bale wouldn't drive into the ground, and without us noticing, it stayed on, and the lever kept raising the bale up. And at the same moment, a cow tried to run out the gate past him, so I ran to block her. He was watching that, and we both looked, and the bale was pretty high, and it came up, which put the bale straight above him, and it just fell right on him. And then he tried to dive in under the steering wheel, and he didn't make it. He was still on the seat, and his back broke right in the middle, and the bale fell off where I had been standing. It was just like 3 seconds and about 4 things that went wrong, and they all had to happen in the right sequence for the accident to happen, but it did.
They said there was significant damage, and they said my chances of walking weren't very good.
Then my mom came to the school, and she talked to us, explained what happened, and that what was going to happen, and it was really hard too at school to be that upset.
It's still hard for me to watch Joe walk across the yard and not be able to do it with smooth, fluid motion like he should be able to. Like he will always walk with a limp and need canes. I often think those few seconds changed our whole lives forever.
An accident can happen at any time. Even a quick trip on a bike can be dangerous if you choose not to be careful. Several years ago, Jason Novak made a routine ride to the store on his bike. He soon found out what a moment's break in concentration and no helmet can cause. Jason showed few signs of injury other than a headache. But soon the headache got worse. He was rushed to the hospital where he began to lapse into a coma. He underwent immediate surgery and was saved, but was left with permanent brain damage.
Doesn't matter how short a trip you're going to. Like Jason, actually, he was never one that did tricks on his bike or anything.
And it can happen. You can be a good driver. It doesn't matter. It can happen anywhere. Or, you know, you could hit a stone, you could hit the edge of the road. It's so easy.
Every year, thousands of young people are injured due to bike-related accidents. Some die. 3/4 of these deaths are due to injuries to the head. Now, it doesn't mean you can't go out and have fun. You just have to be smart about how you do it. And the smartest thing you could do is wear one of these. The risk of head injury can be reduced by 85% just by wearing a helmet, and not just when you're riding your bike. It's that ounce of prevention against the damage that too often cannot be cured. In contact sports like football and hockey, the equipment players wear is designed to protect them from injury, but that alone is not enough. Before the introduction of helmets and face masks, head injuries accounted for almost half of all hockey injuries. But even with the use of helmets, that number has only been reduced to 1/4.
Two of the major injuries that occur in hockey are head and spinal injuries, and of course they coincide with each other. Your teammates should be telling you who's behind you, who's beside you, who's around you. This way, if you are noticing that you're getting close to the boards, watch that your back isn't to somebody, because if they go and check you, you're likely going to be going into the boards head first.
You have to be aware of the potential dangers out on the ice. And certain things in the world of hockey, for instance, is teaching the players how to take a check, how to give a check to reduce injury, but you can't eliminate it 100%.
This could be almost any hockey game in Canada. A crowd of parents cheer as the excitement rises. But many young players today feel that they're encouraged to play hard by friends, teammates, even coaches and parents. Sometimes the rink is less of a place to go out and have fun, and more of a place to vent their frustrations. When you're playing hockey, or any sport for that matter, you need to know the risks. Using a helmet is not enough. You also need to use what's inside the helmet.
Unfortunately, we seem to have that mentality now that, you got to get the upper hand, and to get the upper hand, you have to wound your opponent. Well, I don't agree with that. But the problem that you have is winning becomes everything. And then what you get is that you get the players that aren't as skilled finding reasons to slow down the players that are skilled. Well, the rules are there, but they're not being enforced.
What happens frequently with contact sports is that an individual may have a minor concussion, gets knocked out for a few seconds, gets up, perhaps continues with the play, and doesn't really realize that there's anything serious happening. However, if there are repeated incidents of this happening, then it has an additive effect whereby in time this individual starts having more and more problem with memory.
Unfortunately, the older the player gets, it seems that they choose to wear flimsy and improper equipment, which can be a great disadvantage for the player.
Part of the problem with teaching teenagers is they do think they're invincible, in life, in general, and in the sports arena. And so feeling invincible, they will do things that otherwise were not common sense or very well thought out, because the players don't know the consequences of the risk that they're taking. You have to be very knowledgeable, you have to assess the situation and react to the situation. But again, I think the most common things are the physical and mental conditioning are the biggest assets that you can take in for risk management of injuries. When you're physically fit and emotionally fit, which come hand in hand, you're less likely to be injured.
No matter what we do, whether it's work or play, we need to remember that anything can happen at any time. Accidents can be prevented. We just need to make the right choices.
You can play the game with speed, aggression, finesse, intelligence, and you can do it without hurting your opponent.
Always keep your head up, protect yourself.
I think people think it's not cool to wear a helmet because it messes up their hair and things like that. My way of looking at that is, I'd rather have my hair messed up than my brain messed up and not even know my name afterwards,
I do know a lot of people that are spinal cord injuries and whatnot, and I think maybe out of about 30 of them that I know, I think maybe 2 had accidents that weren't preventable.
general advice would be to think first. Use your head to protect your body.
Most of us have done something stupid at some time in our lives and gotten away with it. Some people don't.
None of us can turn back the clock. We can't change what's already been done. But what we can do, starting right now, in everything we do, is think first.